Hello, students, teachers, parents, history nerds. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nutshelled History, where we lay out the facts, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We continue with our Modern World History series by looking at the Second Industrial Revolution. Don't forget that there's a link for a fill-in-the-blank worksheet in the description. Feel free to us it. I just ask that you like and subscribe. I apologize for any mispronunciations ahead of time. I do my best. All right, let's go. Technology sparked industrial and economic growth. Henry Bessemer patented the process for making steel from iron. Steel became so important that industrialized countries measured their success in steel output. Alfred Nobel earned enough money from his invention of dynamite to fund today's Nobel Prizes. Electricity replaced steam as the dominant industrial energy source. Michael Faraday created the first simple electric motor as well as the first dynamo. In the 1870s, Thomas Edison made the first electric light bulb. Soon, electricity lit entire cities, the pace of city life quickened, and factories continued to operate after dark. Interchangeable parts and the assembly line made production faster and cheaper. Technology also transformed transportation and communication. Steamships replaced sailing ships. Railroads connected cities, seaports, and industrial centers. The invention of the internal combustion engine sparked the automobile age. In the early 1900s, Henry Ford developed an assembly line to produce cars, making the United States a leader in the automobile industry. The air age began when Orville and Wilbur Wright flew their airplane for a few seconds in 1903. Communication advances included the telegraph and telephone. Guglielmo Marconi's radio became the cornerstone of today's global communication network. New technologies needed investments of large amounts of money. To get the money, owners sold stock to investors, growing businesses into giant corporations. By the late 1800s, what we call big business came to dominate industry. Corporations formed cartels to control markets. Between 1800 and 1900, the population of Europe more than doubled. Advances in medicine slowed death rates and caused a population explosion. In the fight against disease, scientists speculated about a germ theory. They believed that certain germs might cause specific diseases. In 1870, French chemist Louis Pasteur showed that this link is real. 10 years later, German doctor Robert Koch identified the bacteria that causes tuberculosis, a deadly respiratory disease. As people began to understand how germs cause diseases, they practiced better hygiene. This helped decrease the number of deaths from disease. Better hygiene also led to improvements in hospital care. British nurse and reformer Florence Nightingale introduced sanitary measures in hospitals. The English surgeon Joseph Lister discovered how antiseptics prevent infection. As industrialization progressed, city life underwent dramatic changes in Europe and the United States. The most extensive urban renewal took place in Paris in the 1850s. Wide boulevards, paved streets, and splendid public buildings replaced old streets full of tenement housing. Architects used steel to build soaring buildings called skyscrapers. Electric streetlights illuminated the night, increasing safety. Massive new sewage systems in London and Paris provided cleaner water and better sanitation, sharply cutting death rates from disease. Despite these efforts, urban life remained difficult for the poor. In the worst tenements, whole families were often crammed into a single room. Slums remained a fact of city life. Still, millions of people were attracted to cities because of the promise of work, entertainment, and educational opportunities. However, industrialization and urban improvements did not improve conditions for workers. Most experienced low wages, long hours, unsafe environments, and the constant threat of unemployment. Workers protested these terrible conditions. They formed mutual aid societies and organized unions. Pressured by unions, reformers, and working-class voters, governments passed laws to regulate working conditions. Wages varied, but overall, many workers were able to buy more things because of rising wages. Workers also benefited from the move to provide public education. Okay, let's do a little recap. Technology was like a shot of espresso for industrial and economic growth, with Henry Bessemer brewing up a method to turn iron into steel, making countries brag about their steel output. Alfred Nobel blew things up with dynamite, literally funding the Nobel Prizes. Electricity booted steam out of the spotlight, thanks to Michael Faraday's electric motor and Thomas Edison's light bulb. Cities buzzed, factories hummed, and interchangeable parts made production a breeze. Transportation ditched sails for steamships, cars took off with Henry Ford's assembly line, and the Wright brothers had a brief but groundbreaking flight. Communication went wireless with Marconi's radio. Big business boomed with corporations and cartels ruling the market. Europe's population boomed too, thanks to medical breakthroughs from germ fighters like Louis Pasteur and Florence Nightingale. Cities got a facelift, with Paris leading the way in urban renewal, skyscrapers touching the sky, and new sewage systems cutting death rates. Yet city life was still tough for the poor, crammed into slums but lured by jobs and opportunities. Workers endured lousy conditions until unions and reformers fought for better wages and public education, making life a tad more bearable. There you have it, folks. That is the second industrial revolution nutshelled. Thanks a bunch for visiting Nutshelled History. Don't forget to go industrial on those like and subscribe buttons, and say something revolutionary in the comments down below.